Hey everyone, Aaron here from MTGChallengers, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering deck tech. Today I'll be going over my take on Bant Planeswalkers. So this type of deck has been fairly popular since the release of Born of the Gods, but my approach to it might be pretty different from other builds. Other versions I've seen play things like Archangel of Thune and Kiora's Follower and things like that, but my version is essentially just a straight blue-white control deck with a splash of green for Kiora and some stuff on the side. So starting off with the cards here, I have 3 copies of Syncopate, one of the counter spells in the deck. It's a really solid spell, I must say. It's good against both aggro and control, and it disrupts both of their strong points. It disrupts aggro by hitting their early game, because they're going to be tapping out basically every turn to play creatures to establish their board presence. So they're going to be playing stuff like Voice of Resurgence and Boros Reckoner, and if it's Gruul, then they're going to be playing stuff like Domri Raid. So for the first few turns, they're going to be tapping out a lot, so you can easily just Syncopate for 1 and counter their stuff, really mess them up. And on top of it, exiling the spell doesn't hurt either. And it's great against other control strategies because it punishes their late game Sphinx's Revelations and other big spells, but Sphinx's Revelation is the big one. So they tap out for it to get a fistful of cards and get back in the game, and you just Syncopate for 1 and get a big advantage on them. Moving on from there, I have 2 copies of Last Breath. It's just a nice quick removal spell. It deals with Voice of Resurgence really well since it exiles it. They don't get the token, of course. It also deals with any small aggressive creatures. It's also really good against mid-range decks like Gruul and Mono Black, since it deals with Courser of Kruphix and Grey Merchant of Asphodel, since they're both 2 power. Next I have 3 Azorius Charm. The attacking or blocking creature ability is mainly the mode I'm using it for. Really slows down aggressive decks quite a bit. By their very nature, they don't really run any kind of outside card drawing, so that 1 card that they get to draw per turn is really all they rely on, and taking that away from them can be just devastating. The lifelink ability is really rarely used in this deck since I don't run any creatures, but I can use it on like my Mutavaults or Elspeth tokens to gain some life, but it's very rare. And in the late game, if I need a cantrip, I can just use it to draw a card. Then I have a playset of Dissolve, the other counterspell in the deck. It's just an all-purpose counterspell. It shouldn't require much explanation. It counters anything and everything I need it to for a fairly cheap 3 mana, and the Scry one on top of it is a fine addition. Next up, I have a playset of Supreme Verdict, one of the pillar control cards right now. To build a control deck, you really need a Wrath effect, and Supreme Verdict is a really fine one at that. So you're up against an aggro deck, and they're hitting their curve, they're playing creatures every turn, hitting you hard, and they're running out of steam in their hand, and turn 4 you just drop Supreme Verdict and undo all of that work, and they're just blown out. I have another playset up next, which is Sphinx's Revelation. Another one of the best control cards right now. It's just downright incredible in the late game. If it's up against control, you can race them in terms of card advantage and dig for that 1 win condition. Or against aggro, if you're barely staying alive, you can tap out at the end of their turn and gain a whole bunch of life and get back into the game. Then I have 4 copies of Detention Sphere. I normally run 3 in control decks, but it's just so good right now. It can deal with just about anything, any problem that you may encounter, from Voice of Resurgence to Master of Waves to Pack Rat to the Gods, Planeswalkers, enchantments. It's just all-purpose removal spell, and it's fantastic in this deck. And now we're up to the final spells in the deck, which are the Planeswalkers. This is a Planeswalker-based deck, and I have 10 of them in here. First off, I have 3 Kiora, the Crashing Wave. She's really the reason this deck became popular in the first place. The color combination just needed another solid Planeswalker that could be easily splashed for, and she absolutely fulfills those requirements. Her +1 protects her really well. It's good against aggressive and mid-range decks. You can just lock down their biggest creature, and it really slows them down quite a bit. Her -1 is really awesome for just digging and ramping into that Elspeth or a big Sphinx's Revelation. And her ultimate is practically game over, because at every one of your insteps, you'll be getting a huge 9/9 creature, and chances are most decks just won't be able to overcome that. The worst part about her is her 2 loyalty, really, because even if you play it in +1 her, they can still kill her with a lightning strike, but nevertheless, I really think she is worth it. Next up, I have a playset of Jace, Architect of Thought. He's a playset for most control decks in general, and he's great here as well. His +1 protects him and you nicely. It can really put a damper on aggressive decks that are running a lot of 2-powered creatures. But his -2 ability is really where you want to be when using him. You'll dig through your deck a good bit, and since you pick the pile you take, you'll never lose. In fact, most of the time, I just find myself -2ing him twice, which is still a nice value. And his ultimate is really rare that you get it off, since you're mostly just going to be using his -2, but it's pretty cool if you're up against like a mid-range deck, and they have a lot of big creatures, and you can just go grab their huge one. And the final spell I have is Elspeth, Sun's Champion. 3 copies of her. She's probably the main win condition of the deck, as she is for most other blue-white control decks. Her +1 is awesome for protecting her, and it synergizes really well with her ultimate, because you're just going to create a ton of tokens that are going to keep her alive, incrementing her loyalty up, and then you give them all +2/+2 in flying, and just fly over for the win. Her -3 is also awesome against like Gruul monsters, decks running a lot of big creatures. Against those types of decks, it's essentially like running another 3 copies of Supreme Verdict. So that's it for the spells. Now on to the mana base. I'm running 26 lands, including 12 shock lands. So those are 4 Hallowed Fountain, 4 Breeding Pool, and 4 Temple Garden. Those are my only sources of green in the deck, but there are 8 sources total, plus all of the card drawing, so I can definitely get out that one single source of green that I need every game. Then I have a playset of Temple of Enlightenment. Every deck these days needs some scry lands, and since the shock lands provide enough green, these are the only ones I need. I also have 4 Azorius Guildgates. I just need all of the fixing for blue and white that I can get, so it's nice to be able to run 12 lands that can tap for either or. Next up I have 4 Mutavault. Really awesome. It can be a win condition, since you can Supreme Verdict all their guys away and just swing in with Mutavault every turn. It's also a nice card to just be able to compete with the aggressive decks that are running it as well. And since all the rest of the mana base is colored, I thought I could support a playset of it and not worry about having too much generic mana. And then I have 2 basic lands. Those are 1 plains and 1 island. So again, 26 lands in total. It's a really nice amount to have. You can always get enough to cast those Elspeths and big Sphinx's Revelations, and only 8 of them are tap lands, which is just fine for a control deck. So that's it for the main board. Let's move on to the sideboard. First off, I have 3 copies of Brimaz, King of Oreskos. It's a really awesome card up against creature decks, just to be able to compete with them regarding their creature count. He also pumps out a lot of little creatures, which can be used as chump blockers. Next, I have 2 Rapid Hybridization, mainly against the mid-range decks, running things like Blood Baron of Vizkopa and Stormbreath Dragon. Both of those creatures have protection from white, so it's really important to have some solutions to those in the side. They do get a 3/3 out of it, but if you get rid of one of those big creatures, problematic creatures, that's definitely a lot better than the alternative. Then I have a playset of Gainsay, obviously up against any decks running blue, like other blue-white control decks, and of course mono-blue Devotion. It can counter any spell that they cast at a cheap cost, which makes it nice. Then I have copies 3 and 4 of Last Breath in the side, again for the faster aggressive decks, to have a quick removal spell, as well as against mono black and Gruul. 2 copies of Unravel the Aether are awesome for more specialized enchantment and artifact removal. It deals with the gods really well, and it can also be used as an outright removal spell a lot of the time, due to all the enchantment creatures running around these days. And finally, I have 2 copies of Blind Obedience. Just yet another way to wreck the aggressive and mid-range decks. It comes down nice and early on turn 2, and it slows down creature-based decks just more than you can imagine. Haste guys like Stormbreath Dragon will come in tapped and won't do anything, and their whole game is just going to be set back significantly. So that's it for this deck tech. Be sure to check out our others. To see these decks in action, check out our gameplays, and also be sure to check out our Facebook page for behind-the-scenes information regarding upcoming decks, gameplays, and other projects. Thanks for visiting, and if you like what you see, subscribe for more Magic the Gathering content.